All right, we're talking today about plants. Okay, so what's a plant? Plants are eukaryotic organisms. It means they have eukaryotic cells, so cells that have a nucleus. These organisms photosynthesize, and they use pigments called chlorophyll in order to do so, which we talked about when we talked about photosynthesis. They are multicellular. They have cell walls made out of cellulose. We're also going to talk about something unique to plants, which is called alternation of generations, which is basically how plants reproduce. And then lastly, plants have a structure called a cuticle, which is an outer layer to their leaves that is there to prevent water loss. Okay, so plants are eukaryotic organisms. They photosynthesize using the pigment chlorophyll. They are multicellular organisms. Their cell walls are made up of cellulose. They go through alternations of generations, and they have a cuticle, an outer waxy layer that helps to prevent them drying out because they are living on land. All right. So now, to determine the relationship between plants, we ask three major questions. We ask first, does it have vascular tissue? Vascular tissue being, in plants, things called xylem and phloem. And these are just vessels that are carrying material around the plant, just like our circulatory system, our vascular tissue is moving blood around. Xylem in plants carries water and minerals, things like that. Phloem in plants is carrying mostly sugar and food. Okay, so that's our first question. Does it have vascular tissue, yes or no? Our second question, does it produce seeds? Yes or no? Seeds are a method of reproduction where we have the baby plant embryo surrounded by a nutritive source, food, and protected in a protective layer called the seed coat. Okay, not all plants reproduce using seeds. Many use spores. So if it produces seeds, yes or no, as well as answering the question, does it have vascular tissue, yes or no? Our third question that we ask is, does it produce flowers? Flowers are specialized reproductive structures, right? So flowers are there to help attract in pollinators, and they aid in making reproduction more efficient, right? So flowers are used for reproduction. If a plant produces flowers, it will also produce seeds, and it will also have vascular tissue. Plants that produce flowers also, we see that they produce fruit as well that is surrounding their seed. So we ask these three questions: vascular tissue, does it have seeds, does it produce flowers, to kind of break our plants up into four groups. So what we're going to look at right now is a phylogeny. So here we have the ancestor of plants. All land plants come from one common ancestor. Then at some point, there's a speciation event. Right, that's what that branch point means, that splitting point, that means speciation. So something happened in evolutionary time. Remember, time goes from here, from millions of years ago to present. Something happened that caused these plants to split apart. Some sort of speciation event. One lineage of plants kept going. They kept doing what they do now, and those are going to be the mosses, what we call the bryophytes. On this branch point, on this end, these plants gained the trait of vascular tissue. So that xylem and phloem, right? I'm going to erase that because I need some more room. Then, the next thing that we see, we have another speciation event right there. Another splitting in our phylogenetic tree. This branch down here gains seeds, the ability to produce seeds. Then that means that this branch up here does not produce seeds because that trait evolved afterwards. And so this group is going to be our ferns and the allies of ferns, or what are commonly called seedless vascular plants. So things like ferns or horsetails, because they have vascular tissue, but they don't have seeds. Okay, because seeds evolved down here on this other branch. This down here, though, we see this has split off into two groups of plants. In one of those branches, we'll put it down here, this group gained through the process of evolution the ability to produce flowers and fruits. This other group up top, though, did not. So this group that has seeds and has vascular tissue, but does not produce seeds, these are the gymnosperms, or the conifers are the most common member of the gymnosperms. And then down here, these will be the angiosperms, or the flowering plants. So we ask these three questions. Does it have vascular tissue? Does it produce seeds? And does it produce flowers and fruits? To break our plants up into these four categories. So the first is our bryophytes, our mosses, which do not have vascular tissue. They also do not have seeds or flowers and fruits. The next group are our seedless vascular. So these reproduce using spores, but they don't have seeds, but they do have vascular tissue. That's xylem and phloem. Then the gymnosperms, which have vascular tissue and seeds, but they do not have flowers and fruits. And then lastly are the angiosperms, the flowering plants, which have flowers and fruits, which means they also have seeds and they also have vascular tissue. So that's how we break up the general four groups of plants.